To welcome in now John Sandweg. He is former acting ICE director under the Obama administration, as well as former acting director of general counsel at DHS. John, thank you so much for giving us some of your time. This is a big deal today. Talk about the significance of this, this executive action to protect undocumented spouses of American citizens.
Yeah, Nichole, I think one thing people don't realize is, look, we've had unlawful migration in this country for a long time. There are probably 4 million mixed status families. So these are people where someone crossed the border unlawfully, typically 10, 15, 20 years ago, married a U.S. citizen, have U.S. citizen children. But because they crossed the border unlawfully, they're not able to get a green card, even though they're married to a U.S. citizen. So what this would basically do is retroactively bless their entry, forgive them for unlawfully entering the U.S., and then pave the way to allow them to apply for a green card. So for these 500 families, I can tell you this is something very significant and very meaningful to them. But of course, we're in the middle of an election year, so there's also serious political ramifications to this as well.
And John, I do want to talk about that because, no surprise, there's a lot of criticism already. I mean, this is the second executive action by President Biden in a matter of weeks. What do you think is behind this? Also keeping in mind that Congress hasn't done anything substantial when it comes to our immigration crisis.
Well, look, I think from a policy perspective, the president feels compelled to act, right? Congress has not taken action. We have issues in our immigration system that really do need to be addressed by Congress. I mean, the issues at the border really can only be fixed with additional surge of resources. And then you have families like this, where there are U.S. citizens impacted. The U.S. citizens live in fear that their spouse might be deported. You have U.S. citizen children who might be separated from their mother or their father for years, that Congress needs to look at that and address that as well. But the reality here is, look, obviously we're in an election year, and I think the administration's trying to kind of take a yin and a yang approach here, right, where they did some hard enforcement actions that really upset his progressive left base on immigration, and at the same time now kind of do something that tries to address the issues that those groups are concerned about. But of course, in doing that, he lends himself to criticism from the right that you're just kind of creating more incentives for people to continue to cross the border because eventually we do something to forgive them for crossing that border.
And many of these elements within these actions as a whole are likely to be challenged in court. So John, do you think we just end up in a stalemate like so many other border initiatives?
Yeah, quite possibly. Look, the courts have been much more aggressive in stepping in and issuing these nationwide injunctions, right, where a single federal judge blocks an entire program. Obviously, there are going to be state attorney generals who are going to challenge this decision in court. You can expect Texas, maybe Oklahoma, some of the other states who have challenged other Biden policies to do so. This will be interesting on this one. This one is rooted in a core authority. I mean, I don't want to get too technical here, but what Biden is doing is saying he's going to give a parole in place to these families. And I think what's really important is that doesn't give them a green card. It just makes them eligible to apply for a green card without leaving the United States. The legal authority behind parole is really well established, and that might give Biden a stronger hand in court than something like DACA, where it was relied more on an aggressive kind of use of authorities. But look, it's going to get challenged. Wouldn't be surprised if something get enjoined. And I think what the president's just hoping to send a message to the country is, look, I'm trying to do something. Congress won't act. I'm going to act. I'm doing something here.
Right. And you bring up such a good point. I mean, it doesn't give them the green card. It allows them to apply legally for the green card. John, before we let you go, just compare what's happening at the border today in 2024 compared to when you were the acting ICE director under President Obama.
Well, things started to change, Nichole, at the tail end of my term of service. But I will tell you that what we're facing at the border in 2012 were migrants who were not claiming asylum. They would enter the country unlawfully and then attempt to evade capture. So the Border Patrol has an extensive array of sensors, technologies, satellites, drones, ground-based radar systems trying to detect people. And the people would kind of sneak into the country. Obviously, beginning around 2016, 17, they learned they could make an asylum claim. But look, We beefed up extensively our border security apparatus, really beginning in 2000 all the way through to today, where we went from 5,000 Border Patrol agents to now more than 20,000. As soon as one of the unintentional consequences of making it so much harder to cross the border is we landlocked a lot of people, and we kind of had a steady undocumented population of 12 million people. I will say, look, I think this is very good policy, what Biden announced today.
Thank you for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to click the red subscribe button below to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.